Hello, everybody. Welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. I am looking forward now to the action on Saturday, the 1st of April, and it is, of course, the start of the flat season on turf in Britain, and the traditional first meeting, the curtain raiser, is going to be at Doncaster. And this is the start, of course, of what is going to be a very, very busy period of racing, not only as the flat season gets underway, but the jump season is still very much in full swing. And that means that next weekend, of course, we have the Grand National, and it's the third and final day of the three-day Aintree Festival meeting. I'm going to be bringing you selections on each and every day, and I hope that you'll be joining me to get your free selection or two here at Sportsbet. If you happen to be new to the service, please press the subscribe key just below this screen, and then you'll get my selections each and every time I post them on this YouTube channel. But if you're interested in getting more in-depth analysis and a greater number of selections, then do think seriously about joining me at my Out in Front subscription service, because things have gone pretty well there. We just completed our first 6 months, and I'm happy to say that at the end of the 6-month period, we had an overall profit to the level £10 stakes of £332. So a profitable service already over the first 6 months. And that includes some quiet periods. I can't deny it. There's been a few quiet periods, but there's also been a few big hits, including a 66-1 success at the Cheltenham Festival and a 28-1 winner there as well. The big meetings are when I really seem to do best. So have a think about that. It's at a special price of just £25 per month with no lock-in. You can join it, leave whenever you feel you wish to do so, and just give it some consideration at the link on Patreon just below and see if it suits you. I have for you today, as I record this bulletin on Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning, I've got the one selection for you at Doncaster on Saturday. To be quite honest, the racing in Britain on Saturday, although there are some interesting events down at Kempton, but apart from Doncaster, it's pretty dire. There's two poor jumps cards. There's a modest flat card in Ireland as well. There is an interesting race over at Chelmsford on Saturday evening, but Saturday is not the strongest racing day that we're going to see, that's for sure. So I have the one selection for you. There will be 3 further selections available at Out in Front for both Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, by the way, looks to be a cracking day's racing, because you've got the classic trials out in Ireland. You've also got the second day of Doncaster. You've got Ascot as well. It's a very good day's racing on Sunday. But on Saturday, the race I'm focusing on for you is the Doncaster 225. It is the consolation race for those horses that didn't make it into the Lincoln Handicap itself, the slightly lower rated mile handicappers. The Spring Mile at 225. There are 22 runners, so a cavalry charge as usual. Soft heavy in places, and at this point we don't really know where the best ground is going to be, or if there is any advantage on either the low or the high draws. What I can say to you is, at the time of recording, they're betting about 15-2 the field, and that pretty much says it all. It is an absolute lottery, you might say, to some extent. It's a wide open race, and the horse they're just making favourite is the Michael Bell trained Baltimore Bay, who's an all-weather mile winner. He was second to Raising Sand, who reopposes when the pair met at Ascot in a classified stakes in September of last year. And he's a horse who's very unexposed, particularly on turf. Baltimore Bay. Old Raising Sand is back for more. He's an 11-year-old now. He's got ground that will suit him, but it would be, I think, a bit of a surprise if he was good enough at that age to win a race such as this, at this stage of the season anyway. Now, the top weight is trained by Nigel Tinkler, who trains over at Malton in North Yorkshire. It's called Isla K, a horse who many of you will be familiar with. It runs in a lot of the big mile handicaps throughout the season. He's got a really solid record in these type of races, and he ended last season by finishing 3rd of 20 in a pretty hot York mile handicap on good to soft ground. He previously finished 6th in the Royal Hunt Cup earlier in the season. So again, a horse who does like big fields, strong pace. and he won't be far away, the top weight Isla K. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have been aware of the exploits of the young star apprentice, Billy Loughnane, who's carrying all before him throughout the winter. He rides a horse for Tony Coyle here, and it's a horse that's going to love the mud. It's called Broken Spear. The thing about this, he's never won this far, and you'd have to think at a strongly run mile, any stamina flaws might be exposed. Well, we've got the 2021 Cambridgeshire Fourth, Zosimus, who's now trained by David O'Mara. He's returning after 512 days off. He's been purchased by a very shrewd group of owners, and he's £2 lower than that very good run in the Cambridgeshire 2021. If he was fit enough, I think we'd see that in market support. So do watch the market for Zosimus. There are plenty of others with chances. The two that I narrowed it down to, though, in this race, the first of all is last year's winner, who I think will go very well once again, and his name is Arthur's Realm. He's trained by Ed Dunlop, and he's had a similar nice prep race this season to the one he had last season before coming on and winning this race 12 months ago. He won last year off a mark of 81 on good to soft ground. He does handle the soft, so he will have every chance, but he is coming to this race this time around off a £9 higher mark of 90. And that was the factor that just swayed me in favour of the other one that I shortlisted. And that horse is called the Gatekeeper. And the Gatekeeper is trained by Charlie Johnston, who have now taken over the licence from his father, Mark, at Kingsley House in Middleham, and is ridden by the high-class jockey Andrea Atzeni. Now, the Gatekeeper was a really speedy, quite classy 2-year-old in 2021. He won a Musselburgh 5-furlong novice stakes on his debut, and then had 3 really solid efforts against good horses before he was outclassed in the Group 2 Coventry Stakes at Royal Ascot in June 2021. Now, after that, something obviously went wrong. He had a training setback, and he missed all of last season. The complete 3-year-old season was a washout. We didn't see him. And it wasn't until he returned after 625 days that we saw him. And that was at Newcastle over 7 furlongs in a handicap for the first time, which he won by 2 lengths. And he really did stay on strongly. Now, that was a really good performance. He saw out the 7 furlongs well, and everything about the way he finished his race suggested to me that he'd stay a mile. Now, I'm really optimistic he'll stay the mile. Will he handle the ground? Well, I hope so. You'd like to think that Charlie Johnston wouldn't be running on this type of ground if he thought the horse would hate it. Now, he carries a £5 penalty for that fairly recent win at Newcastle, but he's actually to go up a further £2 in future handicaps, so he's £2 well in effectively. He's also drawn high here. He's drawn in stall 19 of the 22. We don't know if that's an advantage or a disadvantage, so you just have to pay your money and take your chance. But my view is that this horse could be better than his current mark. Certainly the handicapper thinks that. And if he can build on that exciting return, I think it was 30 days ago at Newcastle, and it's long enough, the break, that he shouldn't bounce, having 2 quick runs after a long break. So at 10 to 1 each way, available with a few firms at 6 places in the 22 runner handicap. I think the Gatekeeper will give us a really good run for our money here at Sportsbet in the 225 race at Doncaster. So that is my selection for you, and I am sure he's going to run well. If you want to know what I'm fancying in the Lincoln and other big races like the Camage Trophy, you can check that all out by joining me over at Out in Front. But for now, for this weekend, I'm going to say goodbye and wish you the best of luck, and remind you that we will be back with 3 bulletins next week for the Aintree Festival, starting with a bulletin on Wednesday for the opening day of the brilliant Merseyside meeting on Thursday. So I hope very much you'll join me then. Bye-bye for now.